Christopher Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance!
Play down the left and Moy stayed onside. Here's Mounier! 2-0 Huddersfield Town on the opening day of the Premier League. 1-2 wicket Tunga. Here's Moy, right-footed. 1-0 Huddersfield Town. Lindelof misses his header. De Quattro's in. Round De Gea. 2-0 Huddersfield Town. 2-0 Huddersfield Town. Here's Zanka to turn it into the pass. Yes! And Tommins scored. Tommins has scored one of the most important goals of Huddersfield Town's history. De Quattro's forward. De Quattro's got the better. Yes! And Laurent De Quattro scores. Laurent De Quattro scores.
Oh, it's double bubble, Derek. Welcome to the warm-up, episode 58. Joining me, your host, Brady Frost, to preview two matches on the warm-up this week is Tom Bradshaw and Joe Scott. How are we both?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Brady.
I do, Brady. Up the town. What is it, 12 unbeaten now?
Yeah, it is, mate.
Something amazing, yeah.
Is that only 30 off the Lee Clark record?
Yeah, well, it's the big. I don't know if you saw the stat, guys, but isn't it the longest in the Championship Town have had? So there you go. So sod you, Lee Clark, and all your draws. That's what I say. Joking. All right, we'll move on before I get into trouble. Because we always like to do podcasts and kick things off with a little game. We're going to go back to trash talk this week rather than what I did with Tom and Justin last week, which was make a game up called Locking Horns. Still not that good. Okay, so you two have been on quite a bit, so you know how it works. So for the trash talk question this week, there's been a lot of comparisons between David Wagner's team and this team, just given the unbeaten run we're going on, and obviously where we are, we're in playoff positions. So we're 30 games into the season at the time of recording. 5 years ago, last week, we won 2-1 against Leeds United thanks to a effing great goal. But how many of the 7 substitutes on Town's bench do you reckon you could name? Yeah, the faces say it both. So, Joe, I'll let you make your opening bid. So, of the 7, how many could you name? You get. I'll give you 1. You're allowed to get 1 wrong. See, this it's 7. But what's your opening bid?
3. I'll go 3.
3. Okay, I think that's a sweet spot. Tom, could you beat 3?
That's difficult. I think I could. I think I can definitely do 3, but I might just go for 4 and see. Yeah, gamble.
I mean, you're allowed to get 1 wrong, to be fair.
All right, go on then. Let's go for it. I'll do 4.
Okay, you're doing 4. Joe, can you do 5?
No, I'm not confident. No.
Okay, no, that's fine. All right, so Tom, in your own time, but quick game's a good game. How many of it? So you're going for 4 from the 7 subs from 2017.
Yeah, so let's start with Coleman, keeper.
Yeah.
Then Joe Lolly.
Yes.
Then I think Colin Quiner came off the bench.
Nope, he started.
Oh,
That's your strike. So you got 2 more.
I started. I've got 2 more. And then I was like thinking of kind of fringe players. So Martin Craney.
Yeah. So you just got to get 1 more.
And then Mark Hudson.
Yes. Oh, well done, Tom. That was solid. That was solid. So the other 3 players who were on the bench were Dean Whitehead, Izzy Brown, and Naki Wells. So
Izzy Brown was on the bench.
Yeah, he came on quite early because Casey Palmer went off in like the 25th minute. So there you go.
Yeah, because I thought
well done,
Izzy Brown scored in the first half, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. I don't know who scored the second goal for Town though. We don't really get mentioned. Well done, Tom. I think that was a good one. Fully earned your spot on the pod. You can come back next week.
Cheers, mate.
So all right, mate. Well, let's get into the Preston game now, because this is one of two games we're covering today. So we all know about Huddersfield's record at Deepdale and how crap it is. But Town actually have the chance to do the double in the league against Preston for the first time since the 1969-70 season under manager Ian Greaves. But Preston are unbeaten in the last 5 games at home. They sit 11th in the table, 10 wins, 11 draws and 9 losses. And they're on 41 points, which is 7 off Town. Joe, I'll come to you first. So we're unbeaten. We're 12 unbeaten in all competitions. We did rest our first 11 on Saturday against Barnsley. Is this the time for us to break this awful record at Deepdale?
Yeah, I think it is. I'm super positive about it.
God, lad.
I mean, I know our run has to end eventually, but I think our terrible run away at Preston's going to end first. I think we're going to get some. I think, like you said, we managed to rest enough of the first teamers despite putting out a pretty strong squad. I don't think. I read a stat earlier that they've picked up about the same amount of points away from home as they have at home, so they're not as strong at home as they used to be or have been. So yeah, I think it's going to end. I'm well up for it.
Lovely. That's what I love to hear. Nice bit of positivity. Tom, I don't know if you watched much of the Barnsley game, but it's like I say, we're talking about 12 unbeaten. It's not anything to be sniffed at. But Preston have been impressive. But again, I suppose the same question. Do you think this first 11 has enough?
Well, yeah, 11 unbeaten. Are we 11 unbeaten now? 12.
12.
12. Yeah, that is insane. That, I mean, what is impressing me the most is that we can actually defend again. So you've just got to look to Wednesday and think, can we contain them? I don't know. It's obviously that is the place for us that is just haunted. It's like cursed, isn't it? So we're due one. Come on, we're due a win there. What is it? Was it 69? 1969 last time
I think
we won away, or even
long.
longer. So it's like, come on. The only worrying thing is, for me, is the form that they're in now under Lowe. He's really kind of turned it around there, hasn't he? Because before he came, they looked to be struggling down the bottom. And like you just said, Brady, what are they, 7 points off us? So this league's tight. They'll be thinking, blooming it, if we win here, we're only 4 points off a playoff team. So it's going to be a very tough game. But like Joe, I'm quietly confident just on the kind of statistical, it's got to happen eventually. Like, we've got to win there eventually.
I hope so. Otherwise, I feel like whenever we talk about a Preston game, this is always what we talk about. We're like, well, we've got to win that eventually. Let's hope it's not the same next season.
Look at when we're eventually right.
Yeah,
I think you bang on, Tom, that like the fact we're much more solid defensively is like means we only have to nick one and we've won a game now. Whereas in the past we'd have to be beating teams good and proper to be winning a match. But yeah, we're different this season.
We are, but like Tom alluded earlier, Joe, Preston are in good form, and Ryan Lowe's come in and done a really good job, and they seem to be playing a lot better football. Depends what your opinion of better football is, but it seems to be more attractive. Who did you pick as a key player for Preston? Because I think if you're not a fan of them, I think they're one of them teams where it doesn't seem to be any real stars, so it's kind of hard to pick a single man. It's more kind of a team unit.
Yeah, I had to go looking through the stats, to be honest, because I wasn't too sure who to pick. I wouldn't have been able to name loads of people on their team either, to be honest. So picking a star one would have been tough. I went for Ben Whiteman, just because he's got, I think, 4 goals, 4 assists this season, so he's obviously a fair bit of a danger man for them. But yeah, I don't know exactly why he's a danger man. He's just been getting those goals and assists.
That's what you want from the preview pod. I don't know why, but I've picked him. Linked with Town as well, actually, wasn't it? When Dan Cowley was in charge. Strong rumours, I seem to remember. Yeah, Tom, have you gone for anyone interesting as a key player?
Yes, we were kind of discussing this before, weren't we? And like Joe's just said, don't know. I've just not. Sorry to any Preston fans listening, but I've just really not been paying attention to you this season at all.
Come on, Tom. If we lose now, this is going to be.
Well, yeah, I know, but it is. Yeah, but I honestly just haven't really seen anything from them. I've not seen them on TV yet or anything, and that's the only time I'm ever going to watch them. I'm not going to go to Deepdale and watch Preston. So I've gone with Daniel Johnson just because I like him as a player anyway. 3 goals, 3 assists this season, so he's doing all right. He just always seems a bit dangerous. He's quick, he's quick thinking. Contain him. You should be all right, I guess. I just always have rated him, so that's my key player for them, Brady.
Fair enough. So I went for their captain, Alan Brown, because I was, like Joe, I was doing a little bit of a stats dig. And I was thinking, he scored quite a few goals against us recently. I remember the one that sticks out in my mind is that really good chip he did when Hamer and Sarr clashed into each other during a game in lockdown, I think. And he's actually got 4 goals in 6 league starts against Huddersfield. So which was quite surprising, really. So one to watch out. I think, not that I'm going to list the whole team, but Cameron Archer, who's I think the young striker they got in from Villa on loan, he's tearing it up, and he's going to be a danger man for them as well. So one to watch. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird because Preston's always a tough game. In fact, I remember, I've joked this to Joe quite a few times, but I was at that game earlier in the season where we lost, we played Preston, and that is one of the most awful games I remember watching the Town in a while. And obviously the own goal goes in, and that's the start of things, and look how far we have come since then. But Jesus, that was a painful game. And I hope, given we're seeing this unbeaten run, I hope the record does end. I don't think there's anything more we can say really from a Preston side. I think we just all think we're in a good run. Now's the time. Yeah, now's the time. If it's not now, then when is it? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't know if you guys agree. But we'll kind of cover the games both at the end because we're doing a bit of a double. And we normally pick a key player for Town at this point, but we're going to do it to cover for 2 games. So I'll move on to the Sheff United game. Again, they're kind of 10th in the league, which surprised me. 12 wins, 6 draws, 9 losses from 27 games. But again, Town have played 3 games more than them. We actually haven't lost to Sheffield United since Valentine's Day 2012, but we haven't played them that much, so that doesn't really mean much. And obviously we won early in the season thanks to Levi Colwell's late winner. One of the best, I think that's probably one of the best games this season for me, just because that was a sweet moment. You can't be a late winner, can you? I think this is, not to get arrogant, but I think this is going to be a trickier game than the Preston game because they're 4th in the form table. They've lost just once, which is 2-0 away defeats Derby in their last 6 games. And they're actually, again, in the last 10 games away from home, they're the second best team in the division behind Fulham. And lost twice, Derby being one and Blackburn being the other. So I touched on it, Tom, but this feels like a tougher game to me, even though it is at home on Saturday on the telly, early kickoff. Do you agree?
I don't agree with you, Brady.
Oh,
personally, I think Preston will be a tougher game. It's not going to be an easy game, the Sheffield United one. But for me, I just think the way Ryan Lowe sets his teams up, I just think that's going to be tougher for us. And I don't think Sheffield United's going to be easy though. They're going to be tough. Every game's tough in it, really. But I think you've got 2 pretty informed teams coming up. The Sheffield United squad is pretty amazing still, isn't it? And there's some players in there that you just think they should be in the Prem. I don't know that Sanderberg's still there for me. That's the one that screams out for me. Maybe a positive is that Ryan Brewster's out now although he's not scored that many this season, but he's out for the rest of the season, so he won't be playing. And then us old mate Billy Sharp, who always seems to score against us, seems to be doing all right. So it's not going to be easy. But out of the two, Brady, I am more worried about the Preston one personally.
Oh, that's interesting. Joe, do you agree with Tom, or I suppose they're both tough games? I don't know.
Tom's definitely right in that respect, but I am more apprehensive about their Sheffield United game, to be honest. I just think, like Tom said, they've got a lot of players in there that are really good Championship quality, if not Prem quality, and that just worries me a bit more. And obviously the Billy Sharp factor, like wherever he's been, he always seems to do it against us. I mean, there is a theme. I always seem to say that when I come on here. It might just be a thing with Town and not being able to defend that well over the years, but like he's always been one that's managed to score against us, I'm sure. But having said that, we might stand more of a chance against Sheffield United if they're going to come at us rather than us having to go and break a team down. I quite fancy us on the break and with a bit of fast passing and fast play. But yeah, overall, I do have a result written down that I'm sure we'll get to later. But yeah, I think we're going to have a bit of a tougher time against Sheffield United.
Interesting. And who did you pick Billy Sharp as your key player? Because I did. 9 goals. Surprised me. Most goals in the Championship, but like I say, scored against us early in the season. Did you concur, or have you gone?
I didn't. I was close because I saw his assists. He'd got loads of assists as well. Like he's not just been scoring, but he had like 6 or 7 assists. But I went for Morgan Gibbs-White just because
great player.
I know on FIFA and Football Manager he's always been class. And I saw he was doing really well this season, so I was kind of drawn to him. I think he's got, I've written it down here, 5 goals, 4 assists this season, so he's knocking on pretty well. I just think he's one of those quite exciting young English players as well. So yeah, I think he's going to be one to watch.
Great shout. And obviously we love on a previous show anyone who drops a mention of Footy Manager and FIFA in there. That's the real stats. Tom, who have you picked as a key player for Sheffield United? Dem Blades.
Well, yeah, I've got those 2 written down. I was going to go for Sharp, to be honest, just because of the form. He's their top scorer, isn't he? And guys, it feels like he has been around for ages, hasn't he? But he's still bagging them in, and he's done it against us a lot, it seems. Also, I like that Ben Osborne. I think he's a good player as well. But yeah, Billy Sharp for me, I think, Brady, just because of the history he seems to have against us, and just winds Town fans up as well.
Yeah. I remember it might have been a while ago, but interesting question for you. Would you swap Billy Sharp for Jordan Rhodes?
Right now?
Yeah.
Or forever? Like, if you could have Billy Sharp from the beginning throughout, or Jordan Rhodes from the beginning throughout?
However you want to interpret that question, Tom. I've got to be honest. However you want to do it. That's a difficult question, that. So I would swap him now. Yeah.
Like, I'd swap him now, but I wouldn't swap him forever, if that makes sense. I'd take Jordan Rhodes when we had him for how long we had him.
Yeah.
But I'd swap him now because I just think I don't know why it's Sharp just seems to still have that knack, doesn't he, for getting in the right place at the right time. Maybe Jordan's just a bit off it at the moment. Yeah. It might come back to him though. He's not that. So I had a look at. So Sharp's broken that record, hasn't he, the Championship top scorer? But Jordan Rhodes isn't far off that. And is he 3 years younger than Sharp? Maybe.
Yeah, I was surprised. I think I saw the same thing. Isn't it only like 10 goals 10 goals off or something.
Oh, really?
for Rhodes.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah,
realise.
it's not as many as you think. So,
So he could break it. That contract's long enough for him.
yeah, very true, very true. I mean, we all saw he got the goal against Derby, and I think we all said we were really pleased for him. You know, hope he can kick on. But I don't know why I asked that, Joe. It's got nothing to do with the preview. But would you rather? I suppose this season is it a bit of a no-brainer. Would you rather have Sharp than Rhodes? And if you say Sharps, you're not a proper Town fan, mate. Get that shirt off.
No, I have to go Sharp this season, and I think I don't know. Like I think Tom, you just said you hope it comes back for Rhodes. I hope the same as well. But me and Brady were watching that Barnsley match, and there was just times where it seemed like he was maybe a bit slow at reacting to things, and like when we'd won the ball or looked like we were going to get a crossing, he just seemed to be a bit stationary. Whereas like if he's lost a bit of pace and all of that, you want him to be first there mentally, and you want him to be in the right spot. Like that's how he's going to get goals for us if he is going to. Maybe it's just one game and a one-off, but yeah, I think for that reason, Billy Sharp's obviously still got it. And yeah, I hope Rhodes turns it around, because obviously we all have fond memories of him. But yeah, sometimes he's slightly frustrating to watch.
I think, yeah, obviously we watched the game together, Joe, the Barnsley game. But I think what struck me is I don't think Rhodes is particularly like I don't think he particularly had a bad game. I don't think he had a great game, but I think you just notice more when Danny Ward isn't playing how much Danny Ward does when you see like a Rhodes come in.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what I took away. And like we knew when we were signing Rhodes that wasn't his game to do all the pressing and running around. But I think it certainly made me appreciate how good Danny Ward has been and how important he has been from an attacking sense. So
yeah,
no, you're spot on. But anyway, so we've kind of briefly covered the two games. I don't know if that's much of a preview, but we'll pick a key player for Town for these two games. Tom, who have you gone for as the one for this week of Preston and Sheffield?
Good question. I don't know, because we touched on this before we started, didn't we, as well? All the team are playing so well at the moment. For me, I don't think anyone's kind of dropped any slack or anything. The last time I was on, I said Matty Pearson needs to maybe just concentrate a bit more, do the basics. He seems to have done that. That dive he did against Barnes was amazing. I mean, won us the game, didn't it? Basically, so. Well, maybe I'll go for Jordan Rhodes as a key player, in the sense that if he can just maybe get in the right positions a bit more, because that's his bread and butter, isn't it? Being in the right place at the right time. If he can find that form again, where he's just on the right end of a Sorba cross, or like from the goal he scored against Derby, just being in the right place from Ward's shot. He'll be catching Billy Sharp in no time. So, yeah, let's make Jordan my key player this week.
Nice. Is that as a kind of a super sub scenario last?
Yeah, I think so, because I think you start with Ward on the pitch, and I just think some Rhodes to come on and just be someone who, if we're either maybe chasing a game or just. If we're winning and you just need someone to nod one in, you know what I mean? So yeah, it'd be more from a substitution point of view for me. Yeah.
Interesting, Joe. Who's your key man? Are you going for a super sub or someone who's going to be starting?
No, I've gone for someone who will probably be starting anyway, I think. But yeah, I would like to say it is nice that we're in a position where we're not talking about players who have really dropped off and need to pick it up again. That's quite refreshing. But yeah, I've gone for Karoma. I think that goal against Stoke hopefully will set him off again. He's not been way out of sorts, but obviously before he got that injury, he was absolutely smashing it and setting us on fire. So I think if he can get back to that, we'll be doing even better. And just another. Imagine if we've got Wardy on fire and Sorba doing his thing, and then Karoma as well. On top of that, we'll have pretty dangerous front three there. So
You just start singing the S Club song, Joe, but with town players almost then.
I didn't notice that.
Tom, I think you heard what you wanted to hear. That I'm not sure I heard that.
I'll watch the vid back, but yeah,
yeah.
It was the Wardy's doing his thing. Sorba's on fire or whatever. I'm pretty sure that might be from it might be S Club Party 2002.
Wow, that's some knowledge. That's some knowledge.
Look forward to a sheepish text, Tom. When it's like, oh yeah, that was spot on. Anyway, yeah. What is this podcast turning out? I've picked Lewis O'Brien. I know it's a bit of an obvious one because he's he's probably our best player, I'd say. But I just think these games strike me as a real midfield battle, both of them. And I think Lewis is up for it. Obviously, I don't know if he's still got it, but he had the record for most tackles in the league this season. But it's not only that. I think just we've talked about it a lot, Joe, and I think we've discussed it as well, Tom. But just Lewis's best ability is when he's running with the ball and he can just go and shrug off 2 or 3 players and just break through and make that space and then lay it off to someone else. And I think if we are going to get something from these games and continue this run, that's where we need him to be on the ball and running with it and laying it off to people in space. So I think they're all really good shouts. I think, mine's a bit of an obvious one, but I think your 2 are quite interesting ones because, like you say, especially after the transfer window, we've got options. So we'll come on to teams and the team predictions in a sec, and who you kind of want to see from the 2 games. But it's everyone's favourite section. We're going back in time, taking a trip down memory lane. We're going back to the McAlpine. It's time for a turn to the Mac.
Christopher Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend.
De Poitras's got the better. Yeah! And Laurent De Poitras scored! What a goal, Aaron Moy! An absolute thunderbolt delivered all the way from Australia.
Return to the Mac.
Okay, so gents, this is going to cover you for both the Preston game and the Sheffield United game. So are we going for big guns here? Or we just, are we throwing it away depending on who goes first in the order? I know I've done that in the past, but Tom, I'll come to you first. Who are you going for? Yeah.
It's difficult this because we touched on it already. The squad we think is pretty good at the moment. There's no position that I really think needs anyone to return. But if you could pick anyone, I mean, I think I've already picked Moy, so he's out of the question, all that. So I'm going for a bit of a super sub who can play in any position, I think. I think you could even put him in net and he'd do a job. And I'll just take you back to York City away in the 2003 season, where David Murphy came on, went up front, and did he score both of them? He definitely scored one, and then he might have assisted the other. But it was one of the best away days I think I'll ever go to. Toilets were flooding, good old standing up, and then Town scored 2 in the last 10 minutes. So David's mine, yeah. David Murphy.
I think the Town Instagram posted a video that I can't remember if it was the first or the second goal, but it was proper classic old school football. We booted it from a goal kick. I can't remember if it was Murphy or someone else did a head on that was absolutely massive. I've never seen it.
It's not. Big. I don't even think it was a header, Joe. He takes this touch with his right foot, but he it's like he was trying to flick it over the defender. But rather than it just going a meter over the guy's head, it goes about 50 yards. But then he still gets on the end of it, I think, and scores from it. Yeah.
Oh, I like it. I think the super sub thing's a good shout as well, because you know, there's not a lot you'd really change. I mean, you don't really change a lot in a team that's 12 unbeaten.
Yeah.
So I like that. But Joe, who have you gone for?
Yeah, I suppose I've gone for that sort of super sub angle as well. He wouldn't get in the team, but I've gone for Luke Beckett. I just think these games away at Preston and a Yorkshire derby, if it's getting a bit rough and tumble, chuck Luke Beckett on up front and he'll give it a. And I just have such fond memories of him scoring against Birmingham in the FA Cup, and I think Oldham away quite a few times he'd do pretty well there. When your hands are all purple and you're shivering and stuff. Yeah, Luke Beckett.
What a man.
Yeah, him and Boothie up front.
Yeah.
Those were the days.
Oh God, it was like watching two run through cement, wasn't it? Those two up front. I loved Luke Beckett though. I remember when we signed him, and I was so excited. It was like, fucking hell, we got Luke Beckett. He's gonna score us 50 a season or whatever.
As you all know, Tom, you're absolutely spot on. Anyway, I think because we all, you know, to let the listeners in on a little secret here, we'd all forgotten to pick our choices like about 2 minutes before we started recording. So I think we've all gone down the super sub route. Yeah, probably one of the best super subs ever. I'll cast your minds back to the 2017 playoff semi-final at Hillsborough. Who comes on and changes the game? The Sheff, Colin Quaner. So I'm going for Colin Quaner, just because as well, always gave his all for Town. You know, I know some people thought he wasn't the best. I remember being at the games when we'd signed him, you know, in that season, people thought he was a bit useless, but he always gave it his all, changed that game for us. You know, we never would have got promoted without him. And also, you know, our top assister in the first season in the Premier League. Like, and it genuinely, I remember that game against Watford where we won 4-1. He was absolutely amazing that day. Like, so clearly, you know, he's retired now, which is a real shame, but clearly had something about him, you know, for David Wagner to tempt him.
Did he though? Or was he just so unpredictable that it was like, I loved Colin, but we've had a couple of players like that who are just so unpredictable. No one else knows what they're going to do, and it can look genius. And I agree, Brady, some of those assists. I remember it was a Stoke at home where he got an assist and he like skinned two of their defenders and cut it back to, might have been, I don't know who it was. But yeah, it's like...
Was it Ince?
I think it might have been Ince. I was going to say Ince, but he didn't score many for us, so you'd think you'd remember.
Was that a Boxing Day game? Because I think I remember there, because I really wanted Ince to score, and he did like so many games where it was like he should have scored and he didn't, and he just kept dragging on.
I'd managed to get back for that match actually.
Yes, I think we met up, didn't we?
Yeah,
that's where we did. Scored, didn't he, against us?
I never actually saw us win live in the Premier League, which was very sad.
That is very sad, Joe. I mean,
2 draws against us and Burnley.
Joe, that is sad.
Yeah,
I was lucky enough to go to Palace, and that was just the dream start.
Yeah, that was some class.
But I didn't get to that many away games, and the ones I did, I think. I was at Chelsea as well. Oh, that was a draw though, so. But it felt like a win.
Great game.
Yeah.
Well, it's all right, guys, because as we all know, HMS Piss the League is up and running this season. And we'll have many more memories in the Premier League, I'm sure. Anyway, so we're the boss in this scenario. Carlos missed the game actually on Saturday due to personal reasons. I hope he's okay. I assume he's going to be in the dugout at Deepdale on Wednesday. But yeah, so team, I suppose with this, you know, when we did the You're the Boss, when we started the warm-up, Town were really, you know, not in a good way. And I think there was arguments to drop every single player. But now team kind of picks itself. So I suppose what I'll ask is if you guys have any interesting choices, and if you don't, I suppose Town have got options now. So who would you like to see more of? Because I think there's kind of debates for who you could bring in, who can come in. I think we've got a few players who we're in a good situation, really, where I think you can make an argument for maybe 13, 14 players who deserve to start.
Yeah.
And Tom, Joe, I'll come to you, sorry.
No, I was just going to say I've gone for a 4-3-3, and I guess most people would fit probably the same players in there. The only notes I've got are if we weren't looking that dangerous or like we were doing that much with the ball, I'd potentially get Eiting in there pretty quickly. And the only other one would have been if Tino was available. I'd have got Tino Andrew in there pretty sharpish, just because everything that's said about him sounds super exciting. So I'd like to see him quickly. But what you saying, Brady, that he's injured for quite a while, or he's going to be out for another few weeks, something like that?
So they said mid-February, and then he'll I think Carlos said in his press conference, it'll be mid-February with Chelsea, and then he'll join up with the team and train. Actually did, I'm going to do a little plug here. I actually had an article where I spoke to Paris from the Chelsea Spot, which is a podcast that focuses on Chelsea's academy. So go read that. It's on the site because that's quite interesting what he talks about. But thinks he could even be better than Colwell in terms of adaptability. Oh. So, and he Paris we spoke to for when Colwell signed, and Colwell was like, this guy's going to be great this season. So clearly does know something about Chelsea's players. So yeah, really interesting. You touched on there, Joe, with Eiting. And I've had a few debates with some of the lads in the podcast group on the old WhatsApp, and I think it's just maybe a bad couple of games, but Hoggy has not been great for me in the last two league games, Stoke and Derby. I think he's not had his best games, and I've seen on Twitter some people agree. Do you think? Because for me, I think it depends on the games Hoggy we've got coming up. So for me, Hoggy against Preston, I feel like, need him. But there's been some calls for him to play Eiting. What are you thinking? Do you think Eiting should come in for Hog, or is it dependent on the game?
I think dependent on the game, and I'd more than trust Carlos's judgment on that. But yeah, I think for Preston away, Hoggy. But he would have been the one I'd take off pretty sharpish if we're not looking like we're creating anything. And then I think for Sheffield United at home, we should maybe think a bit more positive and get Eiting in there from the go and go for it. But to be honest, I'm a huge Eiting fan. Absolutely love him. He's not going to be perfect every time, of course, but I just love the way he's always after the ball. And if he's not after the ball, he's you can see him clearly telling the other lads where the pass is and where to move the ball to. I think that's invaluable in a team. I think he's great. So if Hoggy doesn't get back to where he was, I'd probably be tempted to start Eiting. As big a decision as that would be.
No, I think I agree. And, I love Eiting. I also discovered someone from my work loved Eiting so much that a drunken purchase, when Eiting had that great run in November or whatever, bought a town shirt with Eiting on the back. I think he only played 6 games. So, love it. But what about you, Tom? Back. Yeah, exactly. Yes, I was saying it's justified it now. But Tom, are you doing anything interesting in this one? Are you who do you think deserves to start? I suppose there's a few questions really.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because the team is so finely balanced for the kind of opposition we play. So Hog's important against certain teams, and then maybe like you said about if we're on top, it kind of becomes a bit redundant. Do you know what I mean? When we're not really got us backs against the wall and stuff. So I guess you just see how the game gets off, don't you, really, and see how it's looking. And then, if you need to make that change, you do. I don't think anything drastic. I think what we're all saying 4-3-3, yeah. So pretty much same team they had out against Derby, was it? So Nichols, Toffolo, Pearson, and then who played centre back with Pearson? Lees, yeah.
Lees, yeah.
Lees, and then Turton. Would you have Turton in there? So that that's four.
I actually had Pieper to be
Would you
fair.
have
That would be
Pieper,
one
yeah.
if he's fit, because he went off, didn't he? And
Yeah.
I couldn't find anything out online if he were injured or.
No, I haven't heard anything yet. I suppose.
But equally, Turton's been pretty solid defensively. I just
Yeah,
think
yeah.
we look so dangerous with people going forward. That's why I'd give him the nod ahead of Turton. But yeah, I'm glad to see Turton's getting some game time actually.
I think Ruffles he's been so unlucky, hasn't he, with
Yeah.
like just coming into a team that, I mean, so Ruffles is a left back, yeah. So it's like you're struggling to get in front of Toff, aren't you? But
Yeah.
you'd think maybe he'd be able to adapt and play right back maybe as well. But I thought I might have seen him drop in there a couple of times, but I thought he's looked good. But you're only dropping Toffolo if he's having a stinker or he's injured. So
I feel like that transfer to me wasn't really about cover. It was maybe we thought Toffolo might be going. That's the only way I can, like, you know, I know hindsight, Colonel Hindsight never won the war, as they say, but I just don't get it because he was great. He was like probably the best left back in League One, and he can't get a game. Anyway, sorry, Tom, carry on. You're talking about you.
No, it's spot on. And then what are we saying for the middle? So are we going with Hogg? Does everyone fancy a bit of Hoggy for at least Preston away?
Yeah.
So it'd be Hogg,
I think Hoggy.
Hogg, O'Brien, and
I went home.
Holmes, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Sinani, Ward, and Thomas as your front three.
Yeah. Well, I went Thomas, Ward, and Karoma actually, but I was debating between Karoma and Sinani because it's hard. It's harsh to drop either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't know who to pick between the two actually. Did you go Sinani then?
I was just looking at the team against Derby because, like we were saying, I wouldn't really change much.
Yeah.
And yeah, he had, but I think Sinani's another interesting one because I think he's been great, but sometimes he can go missing for big chunks of the game and you don't even realise he's on the pitch. But then he can pop up and like that Reading game, he started great. He was having shots left, right and centre. I think he must have had nearly half the shots in the first 10 minutes or whatever it was. And then after that, it was kind of just quieting down. So I don't know. I think maybe I'd give Karoma the nod, especially Preston away. I'd get Karoma in, I think. And then maybe Sinani back in for Sheffield United.
Yeah, I think, like I say, it's a bit of a hard one. I suppose the only thing for me when looking at this was depends on Pieper's fitness, like you say, because I probably would have started him in at least one of these. I still think we're missing Colwell. So I suppose with that, I'm not, because he doesn't want to seem to play Sarr in a back three when Colwell's not there. And obviously we saw Naby's freak clearance. Thank God that didn't go against Barnsley. So he seems to want to play four. So I think if Pippa can't play, you've got Turton. You know, Turton, Josh, who was a regular on this podcast. Obviously, he wasn't a big fan of Turton, but I think you've got to give Turton a lot of credit. Seems to have been a lot better recently. And we're quick to criticise, but I think he's actually been quite good. I suppose the midfield's the interesting one. Like you say, probably Hogg does come in for Preston, you know, because even though I think he's been poor in the last two games, you know, he's given us so much, and I think it's, you know, it can just be a bad two games. It can be just one of them. But it's interesting because, you know, like you say, Joe, I think it depends how the game goes. You know, for me, I think one of the reasons Hogg had a bad game against Derby was because didn't really need him. You know, like they get a player sent off in the first 3 minutes, and then you don't really need someone like Hogg, you know, like, because then we've got a defensive mid and like a back four, and you've got a team that's, you know, not looking to you know, offer any attacking insight really. So yeah, I suppose it depends on the game, but I think it's an interesting one. I think Russell had a good game against Barnsley. I think he's a good option to consider as well. You know, and I think his height and, you know, seemed to, again, a bit like O'Brien, seemed to glide past a couple of players, so could be a bit of an interesting sub. I don't know. I think it's more the subs really and who you bring on to change this. I think I think Holmes has been playing really well. Obviously got the goal on Saturday as well, and I think he probably does it. I think I'm putting Sinani, Ward, and Holmes, and I still kind of think Thomas is better at a right wing back, especially if Pip is out. I'd probably go to a back three, put Pearson, Sarr, and Lees in there, and have Thomas and Toffolo as your right wing backs. Yeah, I don't know. I suppose we could keep talking about this for ages, but it's just nice to have options, isn't it? We've not always had that.
How good is that? How good is that? How good is it that we are looking at the bench and are saying there's these options here? Because this time last year and the couple of seasons before, it was that's who there's only one starting 11, and most of the time those players were maybe injured, so it was like filling round pegs in square holes.
I thought you were going to say brown pegs. I was like, what? That's not the expression.
That's the saying, isn't it? Round pegs in square
Close
holes.
Close enough.
So yeah, I think bring it on. Yeah, come on, Town. What a chance we've got, and what a good few players we've got in. How exciting that Chelsea lad to come through as well, to be added into the mix.
Yeah,
definitely. And I think the listeners can probably tell, because we're 12 unbeaten, we could talk about Town all evening, but we are going to have to wrap this up. So, lads, okay, 2 games. How do you see him going? What's your predictions for both? Joe, I'll come to you first.
I've gone 2-1 away at Preston. I think we're going to do it. I think we'll break the.
Love that.
And then a 2-2 at home to Sheffield United. I've gone a bit more down to earth with that. I think it'll be one of them absolute crackers though, like a late goal, a couple of late goals, something like that. But I think the crowd's going to be class for that one. Obviously, I won't be able to be there, but I think it'll be a right atmosphere, and that'll just create a proper intense game. So yeah, 4 points from the 2 games.
Lovely. Tom, have you gone for 4 points or have you gone for 6?
Oh, I think it's going to be 4 points. I think it's going to be 4 points. We're going to win one of them. I don't particularly know which one it is. I really hope it's going to be the Preston one. And I think with Joe 2-1 Town, let's go with a Ward and Holmes goals. But I just think they'll definitely score on Wednesday. And it's whether Town can get just more than them and then defend well. And then, yeah, I think draw against Sheffield United. I've gone 1-1. It'd be nice to see Matty Pearson score. He hasn't scored for a while, so we haven't seen him score from a corner for a bit. So it'd be
rubbish.
See one of those pop up. Yeah.
Okay.
That clip of him at Burnley, by the way, where he's slagging off how bad the Burnley. Like, yes, game.
It's like I thought their support were horrible, to be honest. Lovely. Well, I've also, 4 appears to be the magic number because I've gone for 4 points. I've gone for a draw at Preston. I just that record, man. I don't know what it is. I feel like we could be top of the Premier League and go to Preston and win the championship and not get out. So I've gone for 1-1. I think that would be a good point. Yeah, because like you say, I think Preston are probably going to not come out as much as Sheffield United. But 1-0 win against Sheffield United, I think it's going to be a bit like the West Brom game. Like, we'll be really good. It'll just be like keeping them out, and we'll get a goal. I think we've seen that quite a lot with Town at home. Start really well, get the goal, and then it's just like it can be a bit interesting. So yeah, that's how I see it playing out, and I would love that because I'm off to the Sheffield United game. So let's hope they do win. But yeah, I don't know. Let's hope when we come on next week we have some more unbeaten runs to talk about because like I say, we're all loving it here, but we will close up. So cheers to Tom and Joe for coming on. Cheers to everyone for listening. Thanks to Magic Rock as always, who sponsored this podcast. And we'll be back next week. So take care.
Oh, what a night. Late in May in 2017, Schindler scored, it was a heaven dream. What a feeling, what a night. Oh, what a night. Wagner singing, we are Premier League. The greatest sight St. George's Square did see. What an evening, what a night. Oh, I got a funny feeling when he walks and a fence, and then the commentator yelled he takes that chance. Oh, what a night. Lost so safe and mesmerizing me. Low charge and flattened all Chelsea. Stamford Bridge, oh what a night. Whoa, I got a funny feeling when he walks and a fence, and then the commentator yelled he takes that chance. Oh, what